This places us in the wonderful world of Taal mein Taal. Taal mein Taal, where the hostess is Princess Shreya Bhatia. Today, Ms. Bhatia will portray another song, and along that she is found in conversation with a set of famous musicians from this area. Let's catch this.
Namaste. I'm Shreya, your hostess, welcoming you back to Taal mein Taal, the show about you, me, and our love for music. Before getting into today's show, I would like to share with you all that February is the month of the legendary ghazal singer late Jagjit Singh's birthday. We all know him for his wonderful contributions to music, and we will cherish him and his songs filled with love forever. As we all know, February is also the month of love. Happy Valentine's Day to you all. Today, I would like to sing a song for you all, which takes us to this world immersed in love, full of fragrance of affection and colored with dreams. तेरे सपनों के आंगन में छम छम चलूं मैं चलूं तेरे संग संग चलूं आजा आजा वे आजा तू बन के हवा तेरे सर के जावा तेरी बारी जावा आजा आजा वे आजा तू बन के हवा तेरे सर के जावा तेरी बारी जावा मुझे रंग दे मुझे रंग दे मुझे रंग दे रंग दे मुझे रंग दे हाँ रंग दे अपनी प्रीत विच रंग दे मुझे रंग दे मुझे रंग दे मुझे रंग दे रंग दे मुझे रंग दे हाँ रंग दे अपनी प्रीत विच रंग दे
रंग दे रंग दे
मैं भी तन्हा हूँ तू भी है तन्हा कहीं मैं अधूरी यहाँ तू अधूरा कहीं एक आहट सी होती है मुझको यहाँ तू कहाँ है कहाँ है कहाँ है कहाँ मुझे ले चल तू ले चल तू ले चल वहाँ जहाँ तक आसमां 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 हो मोहब्बत की दुनिया नशे बन जा मुझे ले चल तू ले चल वहाँ मोहब्बत की दुनिया नशे बन जा मुझे ले चल तू ले चल वहाँ तू ले चल वहाँ तू ले चल वहाँ रंग दे रंग दे रंग दे रंग दे मुझे रंग दे रंग दे रंग दे रंग दे रंग दे मुझे रंग दे रंग दे रंग दे मुझे रंग दे रंग दे रंग दे रंग दे रंग दे मुझे रंग दे रंग दे रंग दे रंग दे रंग दे मुझे रंग दे रंग दे रंग दे रंग दे रंग दे मुझे रंग दे Normally on the show, we talk about singing and its technicalities. But today, I want to look at the world of music from a different aspect. With me here, I have two very talented musicians. So let me introduce to you Mr. Debu Nayak, a professional tabla player, and Mr. Craig Phillips, a professional sitar player. Hello, and welcome to Taal mein Taal.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
Good, thanks. Thanks for having us.
So let's start with you, Mr. Nayak. Where did you get your exposure to the tabla, and how has your musical journey been from there?
Well, I got my first lesson from my grandfather when I was 3 years old, back in West Bengal, India. After that, my dad was in the government job, so he used to go from town to town. So we moved to Calcutta, and in Calcutta, I was learning from one of the greatest tabla players at that time. When I say that time, it was 1965, 66, around that time. So his name is Pandit Radhakant Nandi. He was from the Benares Gharana, or the Benares school. So I learned from him about almost 10 to 11 years. After that, I came to US, and I started learning from Ustad Zakir Hussain at Ali Akbar College of Music. I learned from him about 3 years. Then I moved from Pennsylvania to Washington, D.C., and I started learning from Pandit Samit Chatterjee and Pandit Anindo Chatterjee, who I'm still a disciple with.
Okay. And how about you? When did you get into Indian music?
I think it was around 2001, 2002. I was in high school at the time. I'm originally from upstate New York, and not a very diverse place to live, not a huge Indian population at all, but through actually quite randomly, a friend of mine who had an import store
I began working at an Indian restaurant, and through this I got interested in Indian culture, and it led me eventually to start studying sitar.
Okay. And so why sitar out of all the instruments?
I mean, one, simple reason is that there was a sitar teacher in my hometown at the university, college in my hometown. So it was the most convenient instrument to start. But kind of falling in love with Indian classical music and the richness of it, I had never thought about taking on another instrument or switching to a different genre.
Okay. And so a lot of times on this show, we discuss the comparison between Western music and Indian music. So how do your instruments play a role in Western music, and how do the instruments compare to instruments here in America, for instance?
Well, I don't have too much. I mean, I grew up playing different instruments, violin, guitar, drums, all kinds of different things, but I can't say I've really seriously studied Western music. So it's always a challenge when I play with somebody who's more well-versed in Western music. How do you translate? Because my lens in music is very Indian.
Okay, and what about the tabla in Western music?
Well, the way I look at tabla is, tabla has a common language. It's probably the only drums in the world which has a language. And when you talk to other genres, for example, Western classical or jazz, for example, in jazz, I know this for a fact because I play with a lot of jazz players, it has improv opportunities. Whereas in Western classical, it's structured, just like our music. So in a structured environment in jazz, you can pretty much do whatever you want to do once the taal or the beat is set. And interestingly, taal me taal is a very interesting concept because we deal with that all the time. So in order to catch the taal of a Western classical music, you need to get into that structure, and then you can do whatever you want to do. In jazz, on the other hand, it's not so rigid. In jazz, there is a structure, but within that structure, you pretty much do whatever you want to do, and go with that. That's the the bridge between our music and Western classical, as well as and I played with Yo-Yo Ma and others. So they in classical they have a sheet, and in the sheet they have X amount of bars. So you just go through that and just deal with it.
And so we'll definitely have more questions coming in from the audience through Facebook and email, and I'll definitely forward those to you. But before we end, do you have any message to music learners and all the music lovers that watch our show?
Well, music is universal, has no barriers. So practice it and go for it. And tabla is a great way to start. So if you're frustrated, or if you're anytime you are your mood is bad or anything like that, just come home and bang your drums.
I would just encourage anybody interested in music in general, or possibly have heard Indian classical music in particular, to take steps and start learning it. I mean, it's an expansive world to go into and to explore, and I think musically it's very stimulating, and it really enriches so many aspects of your life that I highly recommend it.
Okay, thank you so much for coming, and it was definitely very informative and entertaining.
Thank you. Now, Craig and we're going to play Rag Desh, Taal Teen Taal.
Well, that's it for today. Keep your suggestions coming. on Facebook or at taalmetal@gmail.com. Happy Valentine's Day, and I'll see you next time on the show about you, me, and our love for music.